Todd-U.
All right, another thing we're going to talk about here is a little bit about carburetors versus throttle bodies and fuel injection and just injection overall. Earlier, we were showing the injector tester running fluid through it and optimizing the diesel fuel in the air, and also showed, you know, that diesel fuel on its own is really hard to light on the ground, but when you go ahead and run it through and optimize it, you know, you're scrambling that into a zillion different particles with oxygen all around it. And you got to remember what we're doing here. We're building a bomb. We're having a fire. So what's a fire triangle? Fire triangle's got three sides. We've got heat, we've got oxygen, and we have fuel. You got all three of them, you got a fire. And when you confine that explosion into a cylinder and hold it tight, now you've got that power stroke that we're talking about. All right, so here we have a variety of different injectors. These are diesel injections. This is a pencil, this is a pop-off, and so is this. So what I mean by pop-off is that when these are under a certain amount of pressure, it works like a high pressure relief valve. You get enough pressure on them, then they open up, and then they run it down through the neck of the injector and go through the little teeny tiny holes in there to give us optimized fuel into our combustion chamber. These injectors over here, they're both cam fired, meaning that I have to have a rocker arm that actually has to push that fuel down to make that spray out into my cylinder. This one here is a little bit more special because it is a electronic unit injector that gets an impulse in here. Basically there is a solenoid in here that opens and closes and allows for the amount of fuel to come in to be dispersed into my injectors, and then I force it out. These injectors here on the gasoline engines, they are also electronically controlled and also open and close. They have fuel pressure coming in, and then they are controlled on how long they are opened and when they are open to give that optimization into the throttle body itself. Here it shows two different butterflies here going into my intake and then on into my combustion chamber. This controls the amount of air and fuel that's going on here. Now there's some other stuff that's going on besides just the electronic impulse. I've got a pressure regulator here. I'd have a throttle positioning sensor sending a signal into an ECM and helping monitor all this. We go back in time, and you see this is an old 2-barrel carburetor. Also it's got controlled by butterfly, right? Also has a fuel pump that comes into it, but runs much less pressure, you know, maybe like 12 pounds of pressure this thing came into. A lot more parts in the carburetor. There's a lot more parts in the carburetor than there is in the throttle body. For example, this carburetor has three different parts here. I've got the base, I've got the main body, and I've got the air horn that are all screwed together. The base is screwed to the main body. The air horn is screwed to the main body on the top. We also have a float inside here that limits the amount of fuel that's going to be coming into my carburetor. Here we have a much later model carburetor. It's a Demon. I got it from my friend at Speedway Motors. Thank you guys. And it is a 4-barrel carburetor. Also operates by butterfly, right? This is a mechanical. It is not a vacuum secondary carburetor, so it will open all the barrels when you want to at full throttle. And it's made of plastic, and it is got some aluminum embossing in here, but again, we've got the three main parts. We've got the base, we've got the main body, and we've got the air horn. Lots of functions go on with the carburetor. You've got your choke circuit, you've got your low idle circuit, you've got full throttle, full power, where here we're using a potentiometer, or I guess I should say a mechanical potentiometer that's being activated by the throttle positioning sensor, is what it's called. And it's giving me where I'm at 100% throttle, or if I'm at idle, and it's giving a volt reference into my ECM, telling my engine what I'm asking for. So there's not near as many parts to this thing as there is to any of these. You got to know how to tune something if you're going to use a carburetor. This thing here, you got to know how to manipulate the electronic signal. Hope this helps. Be safe. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and I hope you've learned something new. If you would like to learn more about what it takes to be a technician, or just how something works in general, please feel free to check out some of my other videos. I'm Todd with Todd-U, and I'll see you later.